This took a lot of time and effort from so many of you, and there's too many to thank. And so I just wanted to make a video to share my incredible optimism for the future, and also that it's a little bittersweet for me because Cardano is going to be forever different. As of August 27th, should the date be selected on the 23rd to initiate, which looks like it will be, Cardano will hard fork. We've been here before. We've done this before. We did it with Vassal. We did it with Alonso. We did it with Shelley. We've done it many eras before, but this is the most consequential.
Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen, for the Chang hard fork? Now, who the hell is Chang, you may be asking? Well, Chang is, of course, the name of the hard fork, just like Alonso was the name of the hard fork that essentially enabled smart contracts. Chang is the name of the hard fork that is essentially going to set in motion Cardano's on-chain governance. And according to Charles Hoskinson, this is going to be the most significant hard fork in the imminent future. And ultimately, as Charles Hoskinson just stated there, this is going to change Cardano forever. And what this video is going to be about is exploring what the ramifications of this essentially are going to be. So we are going to be doing that to set the video off. We'll be playing the next clip of Charles Hoskinson of him actually talking about what's going to take place. Like the unlocking of, I think it's 1.6 billion ADA, worth around about $600 million. At the all-time high price, it was in the sort of $3 to $4 billion range. This is the kind of wealth fund that Cardano have that is ultimately going to be put into action and voted on in regards to where it's going to go and what it's going to be used for in regards to furthering Cardano's reaches and aims. And I'm very excited about all of this. So we are going to be doing that. Then we will be talking, of course, a little bit about the price action that we're seeing for Cardano. I really don't think it's that bad. And to kind of segue into something very quickly, we haven't and certainly don't cover Cardano as much as we used to. And Cardano, for me, was one of the blockchains that I probably fell most hard for. I really saw it and still largely do see it as the evolution of Bitcoin. Charles obviously worked on Ethereum, so very much understood that there was a far greater application for distributed ledgers besides just having it as to be a store of value. You can use it to do things such as finance more broadly, not just one aspect of finance, which is money. You can use it for social systems. You can use it for government systems. You can use it for systems, full stop. You can run networks upon these blockchains. And ultimately, I've always seen Cardano as the kind of evolution of Bitcoin, and it's kept many of the kind of ethoses that Bitcoin brought to the table at the forefront of its development, often through or at a cost of speed and kind of agility in an ever-changing market. So I really do have a soft spot for Cardano, but there's so much innovation in the space. We aren't a one-chain maximalist. I think the tribalism in the cryptocurrency space is very detrimental. The video that we just played was from Charles Hoskinson, a video about 5 days ago. He did release one just the other day where he talks about who he's going to be voting for in the presidential election. Not quite a Trump fan, I seem to have got from that. And he spoke about how he's very willing to even work with people who had perhaps hindered him in the cryptocurrency space in the past, like the people that were in charge of throwing him out of Ethereum or had a hand in that. And that's the kind of nature that I think we all need to sort of embody, is we want to work together as an industry. And I'm very much for that, and we cover lots of cryptocurrency projects. And I happen to believe that there are cryptocurrencies that are further ahead than Cardano, certainly from a real-world implementation point of view. And when you look at what's going to drive value for these blockchains, it's going to be their real-world implementation. I also think in regards to this bull market, just a little segue into price here, that Cardano isn't going to perform as well as quite a few other projects out there. However, the really exciting things in regards to this hard fork is the community, the collective mind of Cardano, could choose to vote and deploy capital to an area or a specific project or endeavor that could entirely change that game. And there's nobody out there that can't say Cardano has been a success from a kind of blockchain technology point of view. It has done things and certainly came up with concepts and ideas that have largely been embodied by the space as a whole. In fact, one of the reasons that Cardano originally got me very excited was this idea of this kind of parallelized system where you use the underlying chain to essentially secure multiple chains. This is input endorsers. This was, of course, touched on again in regards to the Laos paper, obviously originally spoken about by Charles Hoskinson in 2015. You know, this is the way that the majority of the space is going now. If you look at Ethereum, it's very much dependent on layer ones and roll-ups and ZKs and all these other things and sharding. If you look at a lot of blockchains out there, they've gone into this kind of parallelized multi-chain system where you have the kind of one beating heart, which is a concept I think Cardano was particularly early on. So I have a soft spot for Cardano. The entire game could change. I'm just not as bullish on it from a price and a sort of real-world integration point of view at the moment as I am other projects. That's just my own personal opinion. I know I'm going to get lots of angry comments. So be it. You know, you guys have your opinions and I have mine. That being said, though, Cardano is nothing short of a amazing project, and it's a project personally I have a soft spot for. The Laos paper left a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth in regards to a lot of the concepts that were spoken about in 2015 now being actually put on in that original whiteboard video, now actually being put into a paper, and now it's up to the community to vote on those and fund those various scaling routes and actually implement them. It's 2024. There's a lot of blockchains that I think are a lot further ahead, again, to use that hare and tortoise narrative. But one thing, certainly to sort of leave my personal biases out the way and kind of explain to you guys why we don't cover Cardano as much as we did, doesn't mean we don't like it and support the blockchain. In fact, I've been running a stake pool now for nearly 4 years. And the Allincrypto stake pool, one of the early stake pools to actually complete the Chang, to start running on the Chang node. So ultimately, you know, we actually support and run a node for the Cardano network. So we do support it. We just have certain beefs in certain areas, that's all. So this video is really about the Chang hard fork. Let's stick on that topic, because the exciting thing about Chang is we don't know what's now going to happen as the collective mind of Cardano becomes in charge of it. And if you look at humanity, its evolvement has really came from the pooling together of human resources and the achievements that have came as a result of that. Cardano, you know, multiple minds are often better than one. Let's now dive into Charles Hoskinson talking about why this is so significant. I think it's significant for a number of reasons, but we'll let Charles explain his reasons. We'll get into ours, and then we'll finish things up on a little bit of price action and then some sort of encouraging words from the man himself.
Because this unlocks the most advanced governance stack in the history of the cryptocurrency industry. It combines concepts like liquid democracy with a constitutional republic. It enables and allows strong institutions to be able to parse and work through things like a budget, a roadmap, and unlocks the crown jewel of Cardano, the sovereign wealth fund that is 1.5 billion ADA, valued at almost $600 million at today's prices, at the all-time high, $4.5 billion. A truly extraordinary thing to be given to and used by and for every single member, the millions of members in the Cardano ecosystem. It's a truly extraordinary thing when you really think about it, that so many people who don't know each other, who have never met each other, are now going to work together collaboratively through a blockchain of all things to be able to make decisions whose consequences will ripple through the history of the world as a whole. The future of nation states, the future of commerce, could in some way be influenced, small or large, by what we do as a community in the Cardano world. The technology that's been brought to bear is truly extraordinary as well. And it's the hard work and product of so many engineers, from Sam Leathers, Jared Corden, Phil Kant, some with us and some no longer with us, moved on to different things. Not to mention all of the collaborators from other institutions like Matthias Bencourt, for example, from the Cardano Foundation, Pi Lingham, for example, from Sunday Swap. And again, there's just too many to name, who worked tirelessly for 2 years to not only conceive of and figure out how to implement a dream, but also to make sure that it in no way impacts the reliability and durability that we have all come to love and appreciate. Cardano has a reputation for being the most reliable cryptocurrency besides Bitcoin. Because at the end of the day, if one is going to build the future economic, political, and social systems of the world, they ought to build it on bedrock. They ought to build it on granite, not quicksand. It's always been the promise and the dream, and we've had to do things the hard way as an ecosystem, accepting the criticism of our peers at times and the fact that sometimes we're not the first to market, but we will always be, at the end of the day, the best in market. And there's no exception with governance. By unlocking the millions of people and their representatives to actually sit and think about where we should go, we can collectively solve some of the hardest problems that have faced Cardano. How do we market and brand the ecosystem? How do we communicate about who we are? How do we find funding for those vital projects that desperately need to get to the next stage and have not been loved by venture capital? How do we ensure that the best developers and the best scientists continue to find funding to be able to take the platform to the next level? And where should the roadmap go? It's hard decisions. And these are decisions that cannot be made by an individual, by a company, or by a leader, but only by the collective will of an ecosystem as a whole.
So the hard fork is essentially set to take place in the coming hours, day or so. Of course, we're already supporting the hard fork and the node for everybody to sort of upgrade onto. We're just waiting for the vast majority of the network, the validators, to essentially get there also, and then the chain can successfully fork. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to come on the back end of this. I know there's a lot of anxiety around it, but it's going to be exceptionally interesting, and it's going to be just as much a social experiment as anything else, because Cardano really is pioneering the kind of on-chain governance. There is a massive treasury that essentially is going to become online and available for spending in regards to the community's votes in which way to spend it. And again, it could be one of those ideas and concepts that get voted on and funded that ultimately changes the game for Cardano and propels it into essentially enabling what Charles Hoskinson spoke about there in regards to nation states, governments, social, financial systems actually potentially running on Cardano. And that's what we're all here for, because there's no doubt in my mind that blockchains, it doesn't have to be Cardano, are going to enable those systems of tomorrow. And why not Cardano? Well, it needs to start putting its foot in the right direction. It could do that. You just don't know what's going to come along. And of course, we already see certain sort of links with certain governments and things like this. So very, very exciting. Something I'm personally excited about. Very quickly, before we dive over to some last kind of inspiring words from Charles Hoskinson, let's talk about ADA very quickly from a price point of view. You're very much just repeating what took place in 2019, 2020. It's our expectations that the cryptocurrency space is heading into a good time, with risk generally all sort of allowed or permissioned by the macroeconomic environment. And I don't think Cardano isn't going to be a part of that. My personal bet is that there are coins out there from an ROI point of view that are going to outperform it. That's just my own personal take. As an investor, I can do whatever the hell it is I want. It's no shade on Cardano. It's just what I've personally chosen to do. Like I say, we're a fan of this blockchain. We've been running a node on this blockchain for 4+ years. Also, rather interestingly, this is something I haven't seen the Cardano community pick up on. This is from Ernst & Young. This is their report in regards to institutional investors. I want to just quickly take you guys to what coins institutional investors hold. And actually and this is obviously largely due to market cap, but very interestingly, Cardano is very much a part of this. And you can see that it goes Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, XRP, Binance Coin, and then Cardano. So there is an institutional interest for Cardano. It's also a part of a lot of ETPs, which makes me bullish in regards to a sort of institutional inflow. But the Chang hard fork is going to be nothing short of spectacular. It's going to be very interesting to see what takes place in the next sort of 6 months in regards to ADA, some of what gets funded, how this affects the ecosystem at large, and some of what gets built as a result of all this, some of the scaling solutions. I will be doing a video actually talking about the Hydra head that was enabling, or the multiple heads that were enabling Doom. Very interesting. Seems very gimmicky. But actually, if you can, every frame on Doom is a transaction on Hydra. If you can sort of enable that with Hydra, the sky's the limits in regards to actually what you can enable with this technology. Very interesting. To sort of close the video off, last little comments from Charles Hoskinson. Very inspiring. And then we'll wrap the video up.
Short term. But in the long term, We will pioneer a new world where each and every person is truly equal, and it has fair consideration with algorithmic governance. All of the economic, political, and social systems by the end of the 21st century have a potential to be touched by a blockchain. And if we continue this path, that blockchain will be Cardano. The world will run on it because that would be the just thing and the right thing. And it's only by the fact that we were willing to endure the journey that we get to see the summit. I'm proud that you're all here, and I'm proud that you stuck with it for these 10 years. It's been hard, but it's been fun. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to be here. But like you, I'm a member of the community now. There's no special Charles. That's the way it ought to be for all these things. We'll still have an army of engineers and scientists. We're still going to be figuring things out and proposing roadmaps and arguing our point. But it's a single voice in a very loud and very large chorus, and other people get to sing in it too. And that is the truth of decentralization. And that is the reality and nature of a structure that is here to stay, because it can survive the death or loss of its founders. It can survive the founders being wrong. It can survive bad roadmaps. We'll wake up tomorrow knowing the institutions are strong, the governance is strong, and we'll wake up tomorrow knowing that it's going to be a better day than today. So I can't wait to see the next 10 years with each and every one of you. And I firmly believe that they will be even better than the 10 years that we've had.
So that's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed presenting it. Let's look forward to an interesting and exciting future that Cardano has ahead of it. See you all in the next one, ladies and gents. Thanks for watching.